So today is part 2 of the Step Feed Sack Mead. Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica, and you're watching City Steading Brews. As Brian said, this is step 2 of our Step Feed Sack Mead.
Now, this was going to be Black Sack Mead. I think we might have mentioned that in the last video. By the way, this video will make no sense to you at all unless you watched the last video. So if you haven't watched the last video, which I'll have a link to, first, shame on you. I'm just kidding. Just go watch that video first, and then this one will make a whole lot more sense. Some things that we're going to talk about today, though. We have this mead, and one thing that I want to say is I have shaken the bejesus out of this every single day, at least once, sometimes 2, maybe even 3 times. You can tell it's still cloudy. It's still fermenting actively. Okay, there's still bubbles coming up, everything. So this is not done, like I said it was going to be. But it's been, we started it on November 21st. Today is December 10th. Okay, so it's been like 19 days. That's 2 days short of 3 weeks. I'm good with giving it some extra to work with at this point. What we're also going to do is we're going to take a reading to find out how much it went down, because this is going to be cumulative. We're going to add up all the points that it burns up each time, and that's how we're actually going to calculate our gravity, because somebody asked about that, and it's not that critical, but it's kind of a thing you want to know, right? We're also going to take a little taste, because I've been smelling at the top of the airlock and going, here, smell this, smell this. And
Yes.
Usually when a guy does that, it's not a good thing. But in this case, it smells really good, okay? So I think there's something to the idea of keeping it below the tolerance so that it can work it up and giving it a good shake to get rid of some of those gases. Maybe there's something to that. But anyway, what we're going to do...
I think part of the daily shaking did allow the vapors to escape through the airlock, and that was great for us because we got to smell and kind of through our
olfactory
glands taste what it might taste
No,
like.
olfactory is just smell.
Yes, but taste because they're connected.
Right.
Anyway, however, you probably can't see, but there's 2 little bugs that got trapped in our airlock, and our airlock is doing its job in trapping them and killing them because of our sanitization liquid. So we're going to empty this out and refill it with fresh sanitization liquid, so that way we don't have an issue.
Right. Some other questions that came up before I get to put more honey in this is somebody asked, shouldn't you rack it each time? Because that way you can make more space. Well, that's good thinking, except for one problem. There's a live colony in here. If I rack this, a lot of the lease is actually living and actually consuming sugars. If I rack it, I get rid of all that, and then the colony has to start up all over again, and it could struggle, it could stall, it could create off flavors, things like that. No.
Besides that, even the dead lease on the bottom, or the dead yeast that makes up the lease on the bottom, acts as a nutrient for the live yeast. They kind of are cannibalistic and eat themselves. So we want to keep all that stuff in there so that our yeast can be happy and continue to thrive.
We want to build the healthiest colony possible and keep it healthy throughout. That's why we're doing that. Someone else said, well, if you're using an 18% yeast and you're looking for an 18 or 19% alcohol, why are you doing this at all? Another very good question. It's because if there can be a time when you put in enough sugars to make an 18, 19, or 20%, maybe you're trying to make it a little sweet, it's an 18% tolerance, and it just stalls. There's not enough for it to work with. This is a really simple traditional mead. There's not a lot of extras in here. Now, I will be the first to say, if I put in all those ites and eights and nutrients and this and that, sure, you can totally pack it with enough sugars to make a 20% mead, and yeah, it'll probably work. But if you want to see that, you're watching the wrong show, because I'm not going to do that. I would much rather do it the more natural way. That way I don't have a Frankenmead. I have something that's actually a natural product.
The concept of a sack mead is that it's a high sugar mead. So that means it's going to have lots of honey in it.
Right.
And that's why we're doing a step feed, because if you saw the original sack mead, we had some issues because the high sugar stresses the yeast so they can't function properly.
Right.
This way, the step feeding, you're just giving it smaller or less.
We're keeping them drunk perpetually.
Right. And so they get used to that
Not really.
environment, and then we go a little bit higher. They're like, oh, okay, we can do this. And, so they're not stressed.
Right. So I just wanted to go over those couple of things because in the comments, a lot of people were asking, and they were really good questions. And it just showed that we didn't explain it properly the first time. So that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. We're making it really easy for the yeast without having to use chemicals. Okay, this is just another method of making mead. You don't have to do it this way. You can certainly just figure out where you want it to end up and project that and do that, and it works. We do that all the time. But when you're going for the higher stuff, I mean, this could potentially go over 20%. I have my doubts, but I've never actually done this. So I don't know. I know from others who have done it that using the yeast we used, which is Lalvin EC1118, they have gotten 22 and 24%. So, hey, it could happen. It's all about acclimating the yeast and keeping it happy. Thus, the shaking it up every day to degas it, things like that. They all keep it happier, okay? So, easiest way to do this is going to be just pop out the airlock.
I'm just going to set this on the table because, as I said before, I'm going to go ahead and sterilize this and refill it and clean it, and so I'm not worried about it.
So the first thing I want to do after taking the airlock out is get out the handy dandy turkey baster that was sanitized in
The red bucket of sanitization!
I think you get crazier with that every time.
I try to put energy into it because it can't just be, I mean, it's Turbos. Turbos deserves energy.
Pretty sure the cartoon I made for it is energetic enough. It's also like from 1976. It's not really, but it seems like it is. By the way, someone made a suggestion to get 100 milliliter plastic syringes to do this. And I got them. They came just the other day. And I opened one up today and went, that's a great idea. Except when you have to reach this far down into a bottle.
Because it was just...
It would go into like here. So, great idea. It just didn't work.
We figured we could put a tube on it if we really wanted to do that, but the concept was to make it easier, and so...
Now, as I said, I know this really isn't done yet, so I don't expect it to be dry. And, wow, I'd be right. It is 1060. Yep, right at 1060 right now. Which means there's still a lot of sugars in here. It's still got about halfway to go because it started at what? 1.112. So right now it's at 1.060. I'm not even going to calculate an ABV yet because what's the point? But a rough idea right now, it's probably about 6 to 7%. So it's probably going to taste like honey water. But you know what? I like honey water. And I need to make some room in this fermenter. So we're just going to take a little sample. And yeah, I'm putting this back in. I'm going to shake it up in a minute anyway. All right, so now we have our sample. Can you give it a smell? It smells like mead. I mean, there's no doubt. I get a little bit of the alcohol. A little bit of the citrusy note from the orange peel. Definitely smells green. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this is not really ready to drink yet. 3 weeks. Come on.
Kind of made my eye sting a little.
Really? I didn't think it was that
The off gassing,
bad.
not the alcohol.
I'm intentionally not shaking it up now because I know this is open. We're talking. There's a lot of stuff. We don't want to have a problem. It's not very clear. Okay, it's still very cloudy. It's still active. I mean, you can still see bubbles coming up. So, it is not unpleasant, though.
No, it is not. Because the sweetness is so prevalent.
Oh yeah.
Any weirdness that occurs when it's still this green is kind of masked, and it almost has that effervescent sensation.
Kind of tastes like ginger ale.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of that kick from the orange, and the little bit of effervescence, like she said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once more.
Sure.
See, that's how you know it's not bad. She went back for seconds on a green mead. Now, I have high hopes for this. I actually hope that this comes out really, really nice in the end. I want it to be sweet. It's going to be high alcohol. I mean, right now it's like 6%, but this is about what it might taste like when it's done. probably just a little smoother. But I'm not getting footnote. There's almost none, which is a little shocking to me. It has that harshness.
Yeah.
Like the harshness is there.
It has it has more of a green odor than it does the taste.
The taste is actually like nice. I think the orange was the right move.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, so we're going to add more honey. And I've been going back and forth with how much to add. The fact that this is at 1060 kind of answers for me. I'm only going to put half a pound in this time because I was going to do a whole pound. And then I thought, well, it's still got a lot of sugars in there. If it had gone dry, I'd be putting a whole pound in, but...
So we had our honey sitting in the turbos because it's warm.
I want to loosen it up.
Warm
I gotta
water.
stir it in.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to do half a pound. And I'm going to pour it by hand. No funnel. Because I don't want to have to rinse out a funnel. There's not a lot of room for excess liquid here. So I'm just going to be really super careful. And to those of you who know me and watch the show regularly, you know that's just not going to happen. Okay, so we have our 8 ounces or half a pound of honey put in. And there's still a pretty decent amount of headroom here. It didn't get overly active the first time, so I'm not really worried about it going too crazy this time. And, you know, as always, I'm going to shake this up. Now, I'm not necessarily getting a lot more oxygen in here. Instead, I'm actually releasing quite a bit of CO2. Yeah, quite a bit, which is good. We're degassing it, letting things actually do what they're supposed to do. The trick is you don't want this to come out. No Mount Vesuvius here. There's a lot of CO2 in there. Means it's working. So if anybody was worried about activating acetobacters by oxygenation, seriously?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I gotta let it sit for a minute. I got it almost mixed up. I'm not gonna be too super anal about getting it all mixed in because I know it'll build it up from the bottom. This is a super active colony. This is really going very, very strong. Let's see how much. I got most of it anyway. All right, now, wait, let me see. And there's still a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to call that mixed up as well as I can get it at the moment. I think the amount of foam, I don't want to go too crazy with it. But what I want to do is get another reading. Because this is where the confusing point comes in, okay? We took our initial reading, and then today we took a final gravity. It's not really a final. Consider that one pair of readings, right? And then now I have a new original gravity because I just added more honey to it. And I added half a pound, so it should be, our other reading was 1060, so this should be like 1077. Right around there, based on the volume and everything like that. It's probably more like 1080.
So this was half a pound?
Half a pound. And we're going to take notes on this so that we can keep track. But the idea is now that 1080 or whatever, the new reading that I'm about to take is our new original gravity. And then next time we do this, we have our other final gravity. We take the differences between the originals and the finals and add those all up. And that's how we calculate our gravity. Does that make sense? I hope you guys understand that. Some are getting it, and other people are looking at me like, eh? It's okay. It took me a while to understand me too. New reading. Now, like I said, this should be somewhere around 1080, I'm guessing. Maybe. Yeah, 1079. Anyway, so that's now our new OG, okay? So what we want to do is, I'll eventually write all this out so you can see it. And I might even put some notes up here, and I'm reminding myself to put those notes here. I'm just going to pour this right back in. And we're going to put an airlock back on it. It's going to go back under the desk. So, people who were worried about us filling this up too quickly, see, not really a problem. Taking that little bit of a sample out each time is going to lower that just a little bit. And, you know, if it gets too full, I will overflow it, or we'll drink some, you know, to make room for the more honey. I'm okay with that. This stuff is starting to taste good enough that I don't care about drinking it a little bit. Okay, so we answered some questions. We added more honey. We took another reading. We have our airlock. It's all dried and ready to go. Stick it back in there. I'm not going to make you sit there and watch until it does it. Okay. So, about how long for this now? 2 to 3 weeks? Maybe a little bit more? Because, you know, we're going to be going to Pennsylvania for a couple weeks, so not going to be able to check on it. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be more videos coming during that time, because we are filming this. And you're not going to see this one until closer to Christmas anyway. So, if you like this video, make sure to give us a like. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time we make a new video, hit the notification bell icon, because at least 4 people now have told me that it actually told them we made a new video. And if you want to keep up with all the craziness that happens outside of our YouTube channel and help support the channel so that we can keep bringing quality content such as this to you, join us on Patreon, which gets you into our VIP club on Facebook. That's the name of it, right? Yeah, the City Steading VIP Club, yeah. Where we put up little videos and stuff, we answer questions, we talk to people one-on-one, and it's become just a wonderful community. You do that through Patreon, there's links below. That's all I got. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.